Okay.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Note Closer Show. As always, Scott Carson, excited to be here today. As always, excited. We have our good buddy and one of our sponsors for the podcast. We have Merrill Chandler from Credit Suisse joining us today, live from Salt Lake today, huh? You're not traveling today?
No, I'm not in the world. I'm at home. I'm actually at home.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome, good stuff there, because you guys have been really burning the candle at both ends, out teaching classes and out speaking everywhere. It's good to be home, I can tell you that, right?
Yes. Well, I'm still working like a madman because we got some great things we're announcing, today. But my word, yeah. One of these days. What did you do? You left for Europe for what? 10 days, 3 weeks?
Almost a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that's coming to me this way. Something like that's coming to me this winter.
Do me a favor. Do not start whining, because I happen to remember you going somewhere for like a month or two to write a book in Italy or something like that with your.
Yeah. Oh, that's what we're talking about today. Yes. Oh, you mean, yeah, the 3.5 weeks. Okay. It's so, I mean, seriously, it is so cliche, but we rented a villa in Tuscany. Come on.
So did you
Under
go
the Tuscan sun?
Right, and we've been there. Where did you stay at in Tuscany?
We were 30 miles south of Florence. Absolutely beautiful in the foothills. Had a pool, and that's where the outline of my book and all of the content that was built to drive the book came from, and it's also the undergirding of the podcast. Everything that is our content today comes from this massive 3 pages of 11 by 17 outline that we created out there. So
that's awesome. For those that are listening to this episode for the first time or listening to on our different radio stations, Merrill, why don't you take a second to share exactly who you are and what Credit Suisse is before we dive in any further and give away any more ideas, fun stuff today.
Sorry. Yeah. So Merrill Chandler, I have a unique background. I don't know how I tripped and fell into this, but I co-founded Lexington Law Firm 25 years ago, 1992. I've been in the consumer and business credit space forever. It feels like forever anyway. And our brand is Funding Hackers. Fundinghackers.com, and we're about the inside scoop, the inside track on how to qualify for personal business credit, right? And get the funding we need to buy notes, to do deals, to write a check and make something happen with what we call trophy credit lines, business credit lines that are literally prime plus 2, prime plus 3%, right? And so we've been doing this forever, and we've just got some amazing things that we spent a lot of time working on the engine of the car, and now 2019 is about us kind of putting that engine into that Formula One, and we're now just going to take it on. So,
well, you guys have been doing a great job. You've changed a little bit of your stuff. You're out speaking. You're on this podcast. You're guesting other people's podcasts, things like that. Really driving stuff, but you've got some big things in the work here in the next 30 days or around the end of August, 1st of September. You've been a guest on here for a while. You've got your own podcast coming out shortly, right?
Yep, actually releasing in September as well. So, but our big news that has been coming, we've mentioned it in previous versions of this, but the release date, the launch date, everything is in stone, and we are now in print mode for all the books. But I'm releasing my reveal all funding hack extraordinaire. Are you effable or just effed book? It's my first book. Should have been written 20 years ago. It wasn't, and we really reserved all of our tech, all of the funding hacks, and all of the kind of these insider secrets to help our high net worth clients do exactly what they've done so well, right? Be able to acquire credit lines and commercial loans and all, and position themselves in a way where lenders literally want to give them money. And it sounds so absurd at this top level, but as soon as you know what has happened in the market, and we'll discuss that today, but something magical happened in the last few years. All right. And this is actually kind of the back of my book. So I'll just paraphrase it, but it's really hard hitting. For 500 years, lenders have had 100% of the power in the borrower-lender relationship, right? Lenders, and the way that they had the power is, we have the money, prove that you can pay it back. I mean, literally give, and we call that full documentation, right? I want to see your financials. I want to see your paychecks. I want to see your employment history. I want to prove that you can pay this back, right? That is all changed, radically changed. So lenders, in order to protect their money, their self-interest, they have given all of their power to software, underwriting software, automatic underwriting software, such that not a single human being ever looks at at an application. They win when a human being never has to look at an app. And they trust the software so much that they've just given all their lending authority to the software. Now, what most people don't know, and what the dots that this book connects, is that that means if the software has all the authority to approve, then that means that every borrower who knows what the software needs to get approved now has all the power for their own approvals. This is gargantuan. This is that power dynamic after 500 years has now shifted. So we teach, the book is all about that. Are you effable? Are you fundable? Or are you just effed? And then we infer the real word. So, because you're only fundable if they give you money, but you're not talking to a human being. You can't make your case to a human being. The whole idea is to have your data points, have your application, and have your credit bureau data, and have all of your information. It's all data now. The second you know what a lender software needs to get an approval, you get approved. So that puts all of the power in your hands, in the borrower's hands, if you know what those the underwriting criteria are. Well, it just so happens that fundinghackers.com, the book, our release of this book is to review how this power shift occurred, how the lenders have been dangling scores, the chapters on all of this, guys, but how the lenders have been distracting us with scores over here so they can measure behaviors over here, right? That software is what measures our borrower behaviors. If you know how to behave, and paying your bills on time is 1 out of 40 ways that they track, right? But if you know what they're measuring, we just make our behaviors fit that. No human being ever looks at our credit file again. We get approved because we're matching these underwriter guidelines. We have a boot camp that explains all this, but I want to focus on the 16 chapters that are in this book, because we literally go from the old paradigm through this transition and the new paradigm of you having all the power over your own approvals. That was a long answer to a short question.
No, but that's phenomenal, because it's all about gaming the system now. Really, you got the cheat codes, as you said before, because it is all software based and it's all based on numbers, it's all based on dots and zeros. And if you have the right dots and the right zeros lined up, it can streamline it through that for you. And that's, I think that's a big thing for those that are listening out here, is that first and foremost, Credit Sense Funding Hackers is not a credit repair company. Let's get that straight through the point. It's not about repairing your credit. It's all about be taking what you have, because people, if you've got derogatories, you've got late pays and stuff like that, that's only a small fraction. And I would highly encourage you to go back and listen to the last 2 episodes that we've had Merrill on, because we've broken down those different myths to getting on your funding on the commercial side, and also the biggest credit myths on your personal side.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so I want to make sure that people that are listening to this realize, you go to fundinghackers.com, you'll see a lot of great stuff on there. You teach boot camps about once a month, usually around the 3rd or last weekend of the month.
Correct.
It's an online thing. We'll get to those dates later on, because you got one coming up the end of August. They're in Salt Lake City, and then one the end of September in probably in either Salt Lake City or LA again.
Correct.
What Jessica told me beforehand. So that's the thing. 16 chapters of talking about the transitioning away from having to go in and speak to that stuffy banker with your presentation
Yes.
to it's being an online basically system now for the most part.
Correct. That and as I've been editing the book, because I've been editing for the last the few months, but as I go through it, I'm like, I look at it. Yeah, I wrote the damn thing. I'm like, are you kidding me? This is so elegant of a solution to shift the power to the borrower, because the only power that the borrower has had for 500 years with lenders is whether to ask for money or not, to accept money if it was offered or not. That's the only power that the borrower's had, not how to change its behavior, the borrower's behavior, to be like, oh, so I need to pay. And there's so many little hacks. I don't like saying gaming the system, because there are that's the weasel way through this thing when we're credit eagles versus credit seagulls, right?
There you go, because you do discuss your credit animal, your credit karma animal, basically there for you.
Yeah, all that. Yeah, we discussed that. That's in the book. That's in the book as we go through, because since they measure unconscious behavior, I review like 9 different types of unconscious borrower behavior, and I liken them to different animals. And it's kind of like your funding totem, right? Your financial money totem. And what do you act like unconsciously? This isn't about your conscious decision making. That's why the lenders have distracted this with these credit scores, because credit scores are only like 3rd or 4th most important metric in a lending decision. But
hang on, say that again one more time, Merrill. Say that one more time. That was a nugget people got to hear.
Yeah, a credit score, your credit score, is more of a distraction to keep you focused on watching the rise and fall of this score over here, rather than so that they can measure your unconscious behavior, which is, and it's called performance data. Your lender has all your performance data, and your credit profile holds all of your historical performance data from all your collection of lenders. So I don't want to geek out too much. You got to come to the boot camp for that, right? But I'm really proud of how simple and elegant and effortless the book language is. So Brad, one of my partners, has software where he evaluates how the reading level of my language, right? And when I first started it out, the reason why I said I spent the last few months editing is because the language that I used was all technical language, and instead of using a simple word like get a credit report, I'd be like acquire a credit report. Now, for many of us, we know what acquire is, but I'm trying to make this accessible to every single damn person in the country, right? And so I came down off of grade 14 to grade 12 level, and so now we're in the freshman to sophomore level so that it's understandable. I don't want anybody to not. They can read the words, but I want them to get it, right? Because I want everybody to have the power and over their own funding decisions. I want you guys are in charge of your approvals, not the lenders. The lender software is here to verify that you're behaving according to funding metrics, but you're in charge of how you behave. This is what's glorious about this. And again, that's the whole point of the book, is to walk us through this. I do want to mention that score thing again. I discussed in a couple of different chapters, not only is there a multitude of scores, there's no such thing as a credit score, right? We've talked about this in previous episodes. There's no such thing as a credit score, but listen to anybody. Hey, what's your credit score? And you're like, well, which bureau, Experian, TransUnion, Equifax, and which software are you using? The marketing software, the FACO, is it FACO software, or are you using a auto, mortgage, a bank card, right? What, healthcare? Well, there's a zillion credit scores. So we talk about all of that in the book so that you can come to awareness, because my end game is you stop stepping on the funding landmines and change your behavior so you're in charge of your approvals. So that's awesome. I'm just thrilled that people finally have access so they can put the book down and go, all right, take a look and read it again, right? It's more difficult to do that in other ways. In my presentations, it's one and done. And people are like, what did he say? I don't know what that means, right? What does that mean? Funding metrics. So I've been able to just focus and really make it as elegant and understandable and intelligible as possible.
Merrill, why do you think nobody else is out doing what you're doing?
That's a great question. I'd love for you to weigh in on this, but I believe that it's because I have such a unique background that who starts a literal revolution in an organization that has revolutionized credit repair, then comes to the awareness, gets to look at tens of thousands of before and after credit reports, gets to reverse engineer, as it were, the FICO scoring model, and then gets to go back to meet with the CEO and the FICO score development teams and ask 100 questions and say, yes, no, maybe, and connect dots. And my gift in this world is to connect dots that are not necessarily connectable and or commonly connected, right? Just like this thing. When I was writing chapter 9, or when I was editing chapter 9, I was like, hold it. Is that the back of the book? Because I just said borrowers gave or lenders gave the power to the software, and now software measures behaviors. That means borrowers just need to know how to behave in order to be in charge of their own approvals. Who has access to the things you need to be able to connect those dots? So that's why I believe we're the only ones, because nobody has had those series of experiences. And in the book, there's a couple of dark places even in the book for my life story where I had opportunity that nobody rarely gets to experience, that forced me to pay attention to the things that are important to me, right? This is a vocation. This is the job, right? This is how I love to positively affect the world. But nobody has. It's just a series of interesting events, and now here we are, basically harvesting funding hackers out of all of the real estate investors, entrepreneurs, and everything, so that we're not the only ones who know it. Everybody can have access to this, and that's what the book's all about.
You know, you're talking there reminds me of a movie called The Matrix. You're like Neo. Seriously, you think about it, you say you're able to go back and see the things, and it's like the last series in the Matrix series where he's standing there with a guy talking about what happened, how everything is changed over, how there's multitude of different and it's, you know, different exits or different evolutions to the credit.
Yep.
Totally seeing that. It's like you're seeing the code now. You've seen.
Well,
when they get you dressed all in black, sunglasses with like a blue and red pill there.
All right. So what you're saying is next month I'm going to wear my black trench coat, my big boots, and my dark sunglasses. Here's what's interesting. When that came out in 1999, that changed my life. I mean, just as from a philosophical level, it is still to this day, my single most favorite, powerful movie. And if somebody says, who's your hero? You know, hey, who's your hero? Neo is my hero.
I did not know that.
So you bring up an amazing subject. And if you haven't seen, guys, if you're more new school than old school, if you have not seen The Matrix and you want to see behind the, now we're mixing metaphor, you want to see behind the curtain and see how things evolve over time and how we might be buying illusions that have been sold to us that aren't necessarily true anymore, because that's what the whole book is about. Is it's not true that lenders are in charge of your if you fill out an application online, there's not a banker that looks at your application. You get that 30-second approval or denial because of your data. What if you knew what your data needed to say to get approved? Now, this isn't gaming. This isn't cheating. This is saying, oh, I have 15 versions of my identity out there. They need to see one. Oh, what if you knew how to take it from all these Merrill Chandler, Merrill R. Chandler, Merrill Ray Chandler? What if you knew how to get it, distill it down into one, and the software trusted that they would be lending that money to you and no other fraudulent version of you, right? All those things. There's dozens and dozens and dozens of these. So that's what the book is all about. And again, the Funding Hackers Boot Camp is on the 24th and 25th of August, but the Funding Hacker Boot Camp is a workshop. The theory is the book. I can't do it all, in either a book or in a boot camp. But the boot camp is interactive. But man, to have kind of to have in your hand something that's easily referenced about how to shape your borrower behavior so that you are in charge of your approvals. Done.
I'm coming up with so many different ideas for marketing now for you. Now that we've had this episode, I'm not joking. You and I and Jessica and Sky and Brad should all jump on a call this week to go through some of the things. It's such a different animal. It's like a difference between the Terminator and getting rid of Skynet.
Right?
Matrix is exactly it, because that's what everybody is believed. The machines will rule the world. Well, in the credit world, it's the algorithm, it's the software rules it. And if you know how to plug and play or hit the right buttons.
Yes, you get to see the code. If you know what the code is, you will get approvals. Guys, the problem that I have even in my boot camps, and I'm writing to this so that I can literally hold your hand every step of the way through each chapter and each section. But my biggest hurdle in people understanding is they can't hear the words. The borrower is now in charge of their approvals. They hear the language, but it can't penetrate to the belief system inside of them that says, what did he just say? I don't believe that for a second. You know how I start out my previews, right? When we did note camps and everything, it was like, all right, here's a sentence that you can get credit for without a stated income at 2 points over prime, without verification, income verification, without financials or tax returns. And I say, how many people think I'm full of shite? Because it's not swearing if it's in a different language, right?
Hang on a second. Hang on.
Bullshit detected. Take precautions.
It's not, though.
Right. So I ask how many people think I'm just full of it. And, 20, 30, 50% of the room raise their hand. And then I walk them through simple little points, little dominoes that fall, and they're like, holy hell, how is this possible? How don't we know this, right? Well, first of all, it's only been since automatic underwriting has been becoming more and more prevalent. So the last 5 years, maybe, right? There was some, but it was not proven that they would put that the lenders would trust it that much, right? And FICO has been instrumental in making it a worthy piece of software. I love FICO's efforts in predictive analytics, love them. But the thing is that people can't comprehend because, like you said, in the Matrix, in the Wizard of Oz, in all the great mythical characters that we have, the Prometheus to bringing fire from the gods. Pick the metaphor is we don't know it's possible. And my mission, and through you, Scott, you're superhero at doing this, is to promote this and promote this and promote this to start changing people's minds. Just start your behavior. You're in charge of your behavior, and software measures your behavior. So that means, ergo, if A equals B equals C, you're in charge of your approvals. Ooh, I need to write that one down.
I love that. You might want to write that down definitely, because that's a great point there.
A equals B equals C. It's reflective.
It's the Pythagorean theorem, Pythagorean credit theorem.
The Pythagorean credit theorem. So yeah, I do want to get together with you but the thing is we are in charge. Bottom line. If you can't hear it, read the damn book. If you can't hear it, go to the boot camp. You got to spend some time with me to or my team. Brad's genius at this. Jessica's genius at this. So, but there's only a dozen of us.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the thing, because you talked about the book, and people can actually go on and pre-order a copy of the book, right? Because it doesn't come out. You can
reserve a copy. And oh, by the way, when it publishes to Amazon, it's $19.95, but it's free plus shipping if you order it from the website. So it's fundinghackers.com/book, and you can just pre-order, or not even pre-order, just reserve yourself a copy, and we will let you know the second that it's out, and give you a link to pay for shipping, but free plus shipping, and or $19.95 on Amazon. I would love for this to catch on. I don't know if it will. I don't know if it's possible to create that much. I just see what other things have been out there, and I would love for I don't need to be a bestseller, right? What I need is for hundreds of thousands or millions of people to go, holy crap, what did he just say? And start doing it differently. Then that's where we get the mad prop.
You're the credit messiah. I see an image of you with long brown hair, white robe, turning three fishes.
So I'm either short hair with black glasses and black trench coat, or a white gown with sandals and long brown hair. Okay.
Boom. But that's the thing. You guys heard it here. Like he said, only $19.95 on Amazon. You can go to fundinghackers.com/book and pre-order your copy just for shipping costs. He's not looking to make money. He's looking just to spread the credit gospel according to Merrill Chandler. He is a prophet, walking the earth, spreading the credit gospel and changing the myths of credit paganism.
That is what I'm doing, is changing the myth, pulling the rug out from under what you believe, right? I have no messianic pretensions, but I do want to pull the rug out from underneath you, so that, because until you hit your head, will you pay attention? That right. I do cop to.
Let me ask you a question. If you had, how many pre-sales or pre-orders of the book would you be excited about, Merrill?
200, 2,000,
okay.
20,000.
Right. No. Give me a number. Because I want to work for that, Torch. Give me a number.
1,000 raving fans means that the message, you know what critical mass is. 3% of any population will continue without your own efforts, will continue to cascade out through the market, right?
Yep.
So 1,000 pre-sold copies are just in people's hands. 1,000 says that we're in a spectacular. We got 1,000 raving fans.
There you go. Okay, so that's what I want you guys that are listening to this, because I know many of you are listening to this either live on Facebook, you're watching on YouTube, you're listening to replay, you're reading on the website, or you're listening to across the country in our 17 AM FM radio stations. That's what I want you to do right now. I want you to write down the link, fundinghackers.com/book. Go on there, pay the shipping and handling, and reserve your copy. When it comes out live here, the end of August, 1st September, you'll be able to grab a copy there just for shipping costs. And I guarantee you, how many pages is the book, Merrill?
It's going to be about a little less than 200.
A little less than 200, 16 chapters. And I guarantee it's going to be an interesting read. They're like, we don't give away, but Merrill, you've had some ups and downs and interesting moments along the way too.
And they've all compacted into. Can I share a philosophy that translates into this perfectly? Right. Any of you science men and women out there, it's called the Bernoulli's principle. Right. Bernoulli's principle is about fluid dynamics, which simply means when you put your thumb on a garden hose, it doesn't bubble out. It fans out and squirts out, right? More pressure creates greater force. So in fluid dynamics, in our intellectual awareness, in our spiritual awareness, wherever we're growing in life, if it comes down and gets compacted, then then that energy flows more and fast with greater force. So I've had times in my life where I have, and you'll learn all about it in the book, where my life had a crazy opportunity to compact my life into a very narrow dynamic where still all of this, you see my energy, all this life force, all of this, my intelligence, my emotional force had to go somewhere. And what was born was fundability, what we now call fundability optimization. So go find out all the details. But that Bernoulli's principle, when that's why I'm not afraid of crunches, right? That's why I'm not afraid of pressure, because when we start feeling pressure, then all of our intelligence and all of our capability, all of our talents ends up having more force in the world, right? It has more power and influence. That's why we respond to deadlines, right? Our genius comes out and we're like crushing it. So that's just a little aside.
Yeah, you and I have had some great conversations, deep conversations on some things over the last couple of years, and so we've gotten to know each other, enjoy each other's company. A lot of great ideas come from some of our most troubling times, and that squeeze that gets put on us, by our lives, by people around us.
Yeah,
totally understand it. Sometimes it allows for us to cut through the noise on the side, so we can really be focused. Almost like having to put the blinders on a horse to run down.
absolutely. Or a magnification glass on the power of the sun, right? It's compacting the same energy, is just compacting to create more influence. So you guys at home, take that pressure and let it cut stone, right? Let it just cut metal of your lives. Well, I had that opportunity as well when in my life, and this entire thing, now it's evolved, of course, but holy hell, this is what caused this opportunity to connect all of these dots and now bring it to the world, bring it to the borrowers and say, you got the power, right? So
that's right. And you're having people dance like they're dancing in Zion and that big
dancing in Zion, dancing in Zion.
Yeah, let the machines come.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So I'm with you, Scott, man. Hell yeah.
Brad, just thinking, we had Brad Burnett actually was one of the speakers on Note Camp commercial. Did a tremendous job.
Yeah.
Got that same energy, a little different energy, but same energy. So I just want to, because he was actually ranked really, really high as one of the top 4 speakers from the entire event. Yeah, top 3 or 4. And he actually, he was the 3rd favorite speaker, actually, out of everybody that spoke there. So it gives you a bit of an idea.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I'm like number 11 or 12, so he's going to start doing all those now. I do know that.
You've done well. You've done well on the Note Camp. Some of the thing was a little different flavor this time around, which is always kind of good to shake it a little bit, because I think there's a couple nuggets that he's mentioned, like, it radiated a little bit different. Sometimes just hearing the same information from a different person. But
no, and he and I look at the middle from completely opposite ends. That's why we're amazing friends and business partners, is because the truth is never each of our experience. It's somewhere in the middle between us. And so his perspective, he's a genius at this, and I wouldn't be anywhere near without him. Without Jessica. I mean, Jessica's 5 years, he's been 10 years, and I've been doing it for 25. And so without these different personalities and without this different the perspectives, I could be just a one-man show over there beating a cymbal, right? I don't want to be that. I want to be able to speak to everyone. The whole reason why we're even launching all this stuff is because of Brad is my chief marketing officer as well, and he is in charge of making sure that I do this right. I'm just a show pony, right? I connect dots. Yeah, I connect dots, and then I go out and raise the roof and get the crowds excited, right? But he's the one who captures all the energy and gets it translated into people where they can learn and grow and manifest intelligent decisions for themselves, right? So it's great. It's part and parcel of how to get people to I want to do the book and send it out to a bunch of media outlets. And he's like, Merrill. So the website's going to have a place so people can reserve their own little, copy of it. And I'm going, great, how much are we going to charge? It's going to be free. So, and I'm like, what? And I'm like, well, they're going to give us their email so we can send them the information, all that stuff. And then we're going to TLC them. We're just going to give them free information, free. And I'm like, awesome. What? Because I'm not that, I don't know that stuff, right? I know fundability and optimization, and I know how to deliver. I know how to get you where you need to go. He translates that into people can sit on their computers and make those decisions and create that stuff, as they come to awareness of it. So,
the great thing is our buddy George Antone has written several books out there, and he's best known for the Banker's Code early on. And George and I sat down a couple years ago and visited an event. He mentioned how magic seems to happen when 10,000 books are in people's hands, whether it's ebooks or physical books. There's a magical thing that happens with that, and that you don't really write a book these days to be a bestseller and make a ton of money as a bestseller, because it just doesn't happen that way these days with printing. What you use, though, is the fact that they use a book there to get the word out more what you're doing. You've already built credibility in this industry with everybody you come in contact with because of your knowledge, your experience, and the way that you're helping investors out there in a variety of different fashions, not just the note business, but fix and flippers and landlords and wholesalers by helping build those lines of credit. I mean, you were in Houston with our buddy Jason and Robert out there for a couple months ago. We did the Funding Hackers Roadshow was the episode we talked about that. Right. And you toured all across the Lone Star State for the most part. But that's the biggest thing I think I want people that are listening to this right now realize to give away a brand new 200-page book. Now we're not going to like a 12-page ebook. Now we're talking lots of serious content in there. Plus, the fact is that you do your Funding Hackers boot camp for $97. It's cheap. It's just an investment.
I'm giving it away so that we can start influencing, because I would rather have $1 from if there's a value trade. I would rather have $1 from 1 million people than $1 million from one person, right? If there's a value trade, I'd rather influence for that million people. I'd rather influence the million people, right? So if it's all dollars are all the same. So, and again, Brad's the one who's actually got my boots on the ground to be able to say that just get it out there, and people will be interested in either the boot camp, $97. I mean, it's worth. Oh my word, it's worth. It changes everything. You will not look at a credit card application ever again without being.
I put it right up there with the
code in the matrix.
So here's the thing: is we I think you and I both agree that we live in such a very highly financially uneducated society these days.
True.
I mean, nobody's teaching kids how to balance checkbooks. Nobody's talking about the stock market. It's about doing the least to get them through a diploma for the most part, which is sad and unfortunate. And then they're like to figure it out either at community college or trials and errors of bouncing some bad checks in college, because God knows we all do that, okay? Or signing up for the Discover card or doing what they used to do with targeting college kids for new credit cards, okay?
Oh, and they're not even valuable cards. Yeah, we won't go there.
But the thing is, what I'm trying to get at, this is what you're doing, and I say this because I've sat through the class. I've sat through it. I've sent an email out to Brad and Jessica just recently on a couple of things. We're clients, Steph and our clients, stuff like that. We are such big advocates of this. I don't get kickbacks. I'm not looking for kickbacks on it. I don't. You and I, we agree to that. Like, listen, I don't want this. I want to deliver content that's valuable to our clients, our Note Nation family out there. And if there's a more valuable, honestly, I would say I put this at the forefront of things that you have to attend, even before getting your entity, before signing up your LLC. You need to know some of the things, because there's big things like, the entities you don't want to have in your name.
Yeah,
they will construe the big mistakes that people made. I made plenty of them early on. And the beautiful thing is you can go back and fix those. You can go back and correct them. And that was one of the most eye-opening moments. And that's one of the things I heard from testimonial after testimonial students when I asked them, hey, what did you think about the Funding Hackers boot camp when I reached out to people who were there? And they were like, it was the best thing, not only that I've done for my business, but for my personal credibility, credit stuff as well too, in my lifetime. And that's to be commended to Merrill and your whole staff there. And I mean that by those that are listening out there. If you're listening, the $97 that you pay to sign up for the Funding Hackers Bootcamp is well worth it. You get the replays. It's delivered online, so you can learn from the comfort of your own home or office or couch or pool. Probably not the pool, but the couch, which many people, or your bedroom or your smartphone, because there's been times that what I love too is that you live stream it to your private Facebook group. And I've been able to log in and watch sessions after I've attended.
Yep.
You know, and learn.
And that's the goal level, to be able to have access. And I loved it when we were in Vegas and going through that and like, oh, Scott Carson just popped in and we're like, hey, Scott, what's up? Right? Because it's interactive. It's live. This isn't a canned thing that you don't participate. I never do anything recorded, guys. This is all live. Right? You get to ask me questions. And August 24th and 25th is the next boot camp, but it is live. Even if you're at home, nobody leaves that presentation without having every one of your questions fully answered to the degree that I can at the front of the room. Because some take a consultation or whatever to at least be able to do a deeper dive. But the vast majority of questions answered straight up.
I love it. Love it. Love it. So once again, to get signed up for that, it's fundinghackers.com, right?
Yep. Fundinghackers.com, and then click the bootcamp button. It's right on the front page, top of the fold, bootcamp button, and then /book, and that will go to the page for, you need to put the slash in there. Oh, I need to tell Brad to add the book button.
I was going to say that because I just looked at it. And it's page not found yet, but I know that it's in the process of being set up today. So, after the recording date, you'll be able to grab that.
I will have that. I will have that up there. Yeah, sweet sauce, man. Seriously,
great stuff. Great stuff. Merrill, anything else you want to leave people with? If they can't make the August one, you do have the one the end of September.
It'll be September, and that's going to be just before our conclave. I call them conclaves because it's like the magicians of the podcast world. We're all getting together. But Scott, seriously, no joke. You have so much influence over people that are exactly who we want to communicate to, right? And you've connected us with everybody that makes us successful. So mad props back to you for who you are and how you do it out there. You're the wizard. If I'm Neo, you're Gandalf.
That's funny. I was just thinking about stuff with my gray growing on my sides here. I should grow up my beard. It gets really. It's like, no, don't do that.
Yes, you shall not pass.
Exactly. Well, hey, brother, thank you so much for delivering it. Once they're so proud of the book coming out. Once again, guys, go to fundinghackers.com, fundinghackers.com/book to reserve your free copy there. Just pay the shipping and handling, and everything will be sent out to you. But take the opportunity, guys. Get signed up for that boot camp, August 24th, 25th. You can join from anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world, and be live streamed to that event.
Absolutely. Godspeed. God bless, man. Thank you for everything.
Anytime, Merrill. We'll talk to you later. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for this episode. Go take action. Go do something, and we'll see you all at the top.